There are people out there who have been wonderfully supportive and love the movie and love me in it, and I really do truly appreciate that. I've never taken that for granted. So I wouldn't want anyone to think that I am so arrogant as not to be grateful for the acclaim they have given me and the film. And it should never be misconstrued that my enigmatic, mysterious persona that I have in some instances deliberately created just to have the space in which to have a private life is a lack of gratitude. It's not. But it is my absolute insistence that I be seen as a total human being and not as Ben. Ben didn't even really have a biography. I mean, where was he coming from?
Yeah,
he just pulled up in front of the house.
Really?
It's just there, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Ben was just passing through.
Have you seen any of the other Living Dead pictures?
Not only have I never seen any of the other Living Dead pictures, I have never seen another George Romero picture. But then I've never seen a Woody Allen or an Eddie Murphy picture either. So, I mean, it's not that I am avoiding them. It was Night of the Living Dead. That's what it was. That's my time, you know. Those were my friends in college. I came, I did it. That's my destiny, even, if you like. And it has never occurred to me to be sorry that I did it. Even when I wanted people to leave me alone about it, I never regretted that I did it. I never was sorry that I did it. I did it knowing what it was. I did it knowing the people. I did it knowing some of the risks. And I have never been sorry that I did it. I've never said that to anybody before because nobody's ever set the question up to me before that way. You know, do you regret having done it? No.
Well, I didn't ask that.
No. I talked myself into asking it rhetorically to see if I did. And I must say, honestly, no, I don't regret.
Do you have a copy of the picture?
As a matter of fact, I do. I called George up. Well, that was one of the 3 calls I made to George. There were some friends of mine who needed to do a benefit for a new gallery that they were opening. And they said, why don't we do Night of the Living Dead? And why don't we do Ganges on the same night? And I thought about it. And I said, okay, why not? And they did. And then they said, well, you know, the only problem is we don't have a copy of the film. And I said, well, you know, interestingly enough, neither do I. They couldn't believe it. Everybody just assumes that I have a stockpile of them.
Yeah.
I have a video someplace. Somebody gave me a video of it once, a friend of mine, because I didn't know it was on video. He said, you know, I just saw you in the supermarket. And anyhow, I called George and he gave me a copy of the film. I told him what I was trying to do. I asked if there was a copy that I could borrow. And Richard and George said, yes, come on over, we'll try to find a fairly clean copy. And when I got there, they said, by the way, you don't have to borrow this, you can have it. And they gave me one. Yeah. So I do have one. It's now in Ohio. A friend of mine who teaches there wanted to use it for benefit for something else. So I mailed it to her and she now has it. But I do own a copy of it.
Or a revival house or something like that. It never,
no, there's a pre-period there that I happen to know this only because at that point in time I was teaching at NYU. And I used to walk past the Walter Reed.
The Waverly?
The Waverly. I used to get off the subway there. And it showed at the Waverly at midnight for years. It started in drive-in theaters. The Night of the Living Dead was one of the last big hits of the drive-in
era.
And it came to promise. There was a whole following of people that it had begun to glean from those drive-in showings and then midnights, and it never stopped. Your point is absolutely valid. I've had friends with me, or young people who would say, isn't it weird that nobody in this supermarket knows who you are, and there you are right there on that television? One time I was with a group of acting students after a class, and we were sitting in a restaurant in Manhattan. And it was getting on into the Halloween season, you know. And two of the kids were sitting across the table from me, and I looked up on the at the television and realized that the movie being shown was Night of the Living Dead. And so I glanced at it for a moment, and we went on talking, and I guess I kept glancing at it too often because eventually they followed my eyes to see what I was looking at, and they watched, they turned and looked at the television, and they did not recognize that it was me. And then when one of the students did identify that that was me, the other two argued that it was not. So we left it at that and went on talking. We just left it at that. I left it hanging in the air. Well, I mean, that sounds cute on one level, but it was the easiest way to resolve it, was to leave them. One said, "That's an interesting actor. I wonder if it looks like somebody else's. Is it Billy D? Is it Bobby Dean Hook?
Yeah. Right there.
Whatever happened to him?" I was sitting across the table from him.
Oh my God. That must have blown you out of the water.
I thought it was hysterically funny. That was not that long ago, and by that point, you know, so many different peculiar things had happened, you know, in association with my connection with that movie, that was just another in a long list of rather amusing anecdotes about it. But you know, I have heard interviewers, musical historians, and people talk to the Chantels and the Shirelles and people from the heyday of so-called rhythm and blues and rock and roll. And they give you the same kind of vague stuff that I'm giving. Well, yes and no. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I understand where they're coming from. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't be so unrealistic to say that I don't know that you are sitting here interviewing me, and I don't fully appreciate how all of that came about over these years. But after the interview, I mean, it will linger. It will occur to me, but I'll probably spend more time thinking about the fact that I haven't decided what I'm going to give my mother for Christmas. You know what I'm saying? That my mind will go to very real, everyday kinds of thoughts.
Yeah.
And that thought will probably not recur to me many times. And I'm happy to say that I have forged a life for myself where it does not have to occur to me, because by now most people who know me and live in the same environment that I do not leave me the hell alone about it, that I just am not going to. Two very close friends of mine happened to see it for the first time, two new friends actually from this current job, and I have sat at these people's dinner table, we have gone to the theater together, I mean, we go shopping for things together, we go to boot sales and Botticelli's together, and all of a sudden they knew that I was in this movie, and somehow they wanted to readjust something or talk about it, and I just looked at them and went right on. You know, they have to work that out. I don't allow anybody to lay on me that I have to work out their feelings about the movie or my participation. They have to work that out. And they got the picture, and they haven't mentioned it again since. You know, they tried to do a little, well, you know, when you were making that movie, they tried to take me through. This is going to sound really, well, I don't care how it sounds, actually, because it's the truth.
No hypocrites. No hypocrites in this thing.
Similar to something that Judy told you, isn't you? But as a matter of fact, that movie was made, I mean, it's been out 20 years now, you know? This is the 20th anniversary.
That's correct.
There are, as clever as Americans and human beings in the audience can be, there are very few new things anybody has brought me to think about with regard to that movie from seeing it. You know, understand what I'm saying? The questions